What do you mean by return? Let's say, so this graph technically doesn't show returns in percentages. It shows dollars, right? If you look again at what's on the vertical axis, we don't have percentages, we have dollars. So maybe in year 1996, the value of the investment was maybe $2,000. And maybe in 1997, the value of the investment was, I don't know, let's say $2,700. And so that corresponds to a 33% jump over 1 year. So we can technically take all these dollar amounts for end of each year and convert them into percentage changes from 1 year to the next. So in the year 1996, if you check the textbook, which shows those calculated percentage returns for you, the return for the large company stocks is 23%. For the year 1997, it's 33%, and so on. So you actually have the percentage returns for every single year in this 91-year time period. And then to calculate the historical average annual return, you add all of them up. You can do them in decimals, or you can keep the percentages, and then you divide that sum over by 91, right? How many of them you have. So you get 0.12 or 12%. So 12% is basically given. The book, shows how it's calculated, and this is basically summing up 91 different numbers and dividing the sum by 91. So you don't need to ever calculate it, because this is the historical result. It's already done, it's already known. So 12% is on average every year what the return was for an investor who spent his money on buying stocks of 500 largest companies in the country. Right? So on average, the return on investment into large company stocks has been 12% each year. It's a pretty good return, right? If you do the same math using historical data for all the different investments that we are looking at in this chapter, then for the small company stocks, it will be the highest, 16.6%. Large company stocks, 12%. Then the book also lists long-term corporate bonds, something that hasn't come up yet. So it's kind of randomly popping up here and there, 6.3%. Then long-term government bonds, 6%, and then US Treasury bills, the lowest, 3.4%. So 3.4% is kind of the lowest return you were able to make over the last 9 decades when you were investing your money into financial markets. Let's talk more about the US Treasury bills, the 3.4% sort of lowest return you could earn on your money invested into financial markets. This is known as the risk-free return. Risk-free means that you invest your money and you're absolutely sure that you're guaranteed that you will get your money back with the interest on top, right? So when you buy bonds, the interest you earn is coupon payments, right? Treasury bills are considered to be risk-free because the government can always come up with the necessary money to pay to the investors by, for example, raising taxes. What happens if we subtract this 3.4% from each of, from let's say 16.6% average return every year from small company stocks? So 16.6% minus 3.4%, that gives 13.2%. What does it mean? It means that those investors who decided to invest their money into stocks of small companies, they were 16.6% better off every year on average. They were getting 16.6% better return on average every year. Sorry, 13.2%. They were getting on average 13.2% more money every year relative to sort of the bare minimum return they could have earned if they bought the treasury bills. So 13.2% is the excess return, right? And the benchmark, the reference point, is the treasury bills. It's also called the risk premium. So risk premium is the excess return. It's one and the same thing. The additional return above the treasury bills return. And the reason it's called risk premium is because it's a compensation that investors receive for willingly accepting a riskier investment, right? So that's the return you earn on your investment that you chose minus the risk-free return. The risk-free return is the US Treasury bill return. That's the risk premium. So 16.6% is the return on average earned on small company stocks minus 3.4%, the risk-free return, equals 13.2%. So that's the excess return or the risk premium for buying small company stocks. We can also calculate the risk premium for all other investments in this list. For large company stocks, 12% minus 3.4% risk-free return equals 8.6%. For long-term corporate bonds, 6.3% minus 3.4% equals 2.9%. And the numbers keep getting smaller. For long-term government bonds, 6% historical average return minus historical average risk-free return of 3.4% gives the risk premium of 2.6%. And for the US Treasury bills, the risk premium is 0 because we are, taking 3.4% and subtracting this number.